and also important to know, something that started from 2021 August, possibly August or November, when the excise policy was implemented, to now. In Delhi alone, you've had 4 ministers, one not directly linked to the excise policy, but money laundering as such. So 4 ministers, including a deputy chief minister, as well as the chief minister, is now in jail. Kejriwal, of course, Arvind Kejriwal, matter of moments, matter of time before he'll be in jail. Including K. Kavita, the BRS leader. And we are being joined right now by R.S. Pathania, who's a spokesperson for BJP, Madhavan Narayan, who's a senior journalist, Kamruzman Chaudhary, who's a political analyst, Abhishek Sudhir, who's an advocate, as well as Syed Asad Abbas, who's a political analyst. Shreya, do you want to take the first question?
Actually, I want to take my first question before we get the politicians in. I quickly want to put a question to Mr. Narayan. Mr. Narayan, the Aam Aadmi Party can keep saying that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal will rule from within jail. We have the blessings of the people of Delhi. We've done a referendum and the people of Delhi have told us that even if Mr. Arvind Kejriwal goes to Tihar jail, he can continue to rule us. We know practically that is not possible, right? I want to ask you what happens to the leadership question within the Aam Aadmi Party. Fact is, PMLA is something that doesn't lend itself very easily to bail, which means we can safely assume Mr. Kejriwal will be in jail for the foreseeable future. What happens to the party? What happens to the leadership? Who leads it?
Yeah, I think, Shreya, before we go further, let me say 2 things. One is that I'm not very comfortable with the use of the word arrest in this entire controversy. Correct word is detention, legally speaking, because unless the charge sheet is filed and there is a formal arrest, which should be called preventive detention or custodial detention or remand, but not really arrest, because so prosecution is not trial and process is not punishment. That is the best course of law. To your question on leadership, I think it's a very relevant question, because if you see the way Satyendra Jain and Sanjay Singh and Manish Sisodia are already in, there is certainly a leadership crisis in the Aam Aadmi Party, even if technically, it's going to be very interesting to watch 2-3 things. We'll come to that. But before that, let me answer your question specifically. The interesting thing about Aam Aadmi Party, and I have no hesitation in saying this, is that although it's a regional party confined largely to Delhi and Punjab, it has an excellent set of middle-class urban professionals who have entered politics. There's a lot of leadership bandwidth in Aam Aadmi Party, disproportionate to its influence in politics, unlike some other parties. So I see Atishi as next in line as a chief ministerial candidate, and I do not rule out Kejriwal somehow exercising some influence to look at the files or at least keep the technical position of the leadership there. But there are certainly deeper issues involving policy, processes and programs. There's a lot of political mud being thrown because it's the election season. I just saw a very interesting tweet from October 25th, which predicted that Kejriwal would be actually detained just before Lok Sabha elections, because Sisodia was detained just before the Karnataka elections or whatever. I got a full sequence. So it's all very political. But yes, it's a very serious question. And it also goes to show that the BJP is taking Kejriwal very, very seriously. 2 points, one in a lighter vein. People say that South is seceding, but if this Telangana Aam Aadmi Party nexus is any indication, there's a lot of cooperation going on. The other thing is that, we have to look at some of the issues from a point of view of policy. A lot of evidence is being cited, but we are conflating policy issues with process issues. And there's got to be an audit trail. There has to be a quid pro quo. And only then there is a final conviction. We need to keep that in mind as journalists.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. In fact, it's interesting that Mr. Narayanan says it's not an arrest at this point. It's a preventive detention. It is possibly he's been detained. However, according to what sources have said, at least what has been confirmed to the journalists, the Enforcement Directorate themselves are calling this an arrest at this point.